Side Road. I come intending to ask questions about the draft ordinance, but I just, in light of the discussion, wanted to raise a question. I'm not familiar with the particular story, but there's a narrow line that needs to be drawn here between the question of what facts must be made part of a public record and made available to a free press, and then what press policy to be legislated by a government body in the United States of America. What appears on the front page of any of our newspapers is not something to be determined by you, although certainly you should write a letter to the editor if you disagree with the editorial judgment. So I just want to remind you that you do not dictate the contents of the publications that the free press produces. And that takes me to a second topic. I wanted to congratulate you. The sound in this room is fantastic today. We can hear you very well. I understand there's adjustment made to the sound system. I hope careful notes were taken, or a YouTube video or something, so that we can replicate this after the court comes in and turns all the dials inappropriately. But finally, the issue I wanted to raise, this draft ordinance has been discussed many times. And I've often been critical and dismayed that we have partisan elections for the township committee here, but it really strikes me as interesting that a body of individuals who ran as Republicans, who is a party which argues for small government, who should follow this national policy that they want small government until they suspect that someone's having a good time, and then there's no crevice of the private life or of our anatomy that can't go unregulated. So in this particular case, it may be that one of our neighbors has pursued a hobby to excess. But if he or she is not intruding and affecting his neighbors, then it's none of our business. And I'm really concerned that we would be picking a particular hobby. And clearly from the meetings I've attended, there's one individual that we're targeting with an ordinance. And we've laid down plenty of record to that effect, so that that individual, I think, would have a strong record if he wanted to proceed to litigation in the face of an ordinance, which then I understand I would have to pay taxes to support. If in fact his hobby is not impacting his neighbors beyond their frustration that he's having a good time with the property he's paying taxes on, then it's his business. If there's no commercial traffic, if there's no noise, if there's no nuisance, then it's his business. Now, if there is noise, if there is odor, if there's commercial traffic, then I would expect that that would be covered under general nuisance ordinances, and those should be upheld. If there are neighbors making complaints, we should have ordinances in place that do not target individual hobbies. As I said last time I spoke to you on this topic, as a stamp collector, I'm very concerned. First they came for the people who bred dogs, and next they come for the philatelists. So I'm really confused as to why we're spending so much time and putting ourselves at risk to identify and pick a particular hobby. If that individual and his practices are truly impinging on the quality of life of his neighbors, then we ought to have general ordinances in place. But to single out a particular hobby and a particular individual seems to me to be inappropriate, and if there are issues or reasons to go beyond that, I have not heard them in the public meetings to which I've been privy.
Mayor, I'm going to ask you, request the committee not to respond since
no,
it's already in litigation,
right,
already costing us taxpayer money, and this is in an effort to stop that bleeding.
Well, it's a public meeting. You're talking about passing an ordinance. It's dismaying to hear that there are issues that the public can't hear about.
We're listening to you. This is to hear public present.
I understand.
And of course, you know, you only addressed me, so the other members of the committee couldn't say anything anyway, but in this portion of the meeting, and you've heard John. But I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to be heard?